Mike. So let's go to a viewer from central Minnesota. I think this question is sort of in your wheelhouse, Representative Hansen, so let's pick on you. This viewer wants to know where the panel stands on the decision made, I'm not sure there was a decision made, but anyway, on the decision made at the recent Governor's Water Summit and its impact on ag, specifically a proposal to regulate the negative impact on water. And this viewer cites the Little Rock Lake watershed. And I would guess that you've probably followed this issue with some interest.
Well,
maybe not that specific one, but I mean the water quality issue in the Governor's Summit and so forth. So
well, and we're drinking water right here. We all drink water, and I think the land of 10,000 lakes, water is a huge issue. I think I want to step back to my life before legislator. I worked at the state agriculture department. I did the pesticide applicator certification and licensing. I traveled around the state. I was hired, and there were amendments to the pesticide law in 1987, and then the Groundwater Protection Act of 1989 was passed on a bipartisan basis, and it looked at trying to use voluntary practices, best management practices to achieve goals. So that's now almost 30 years ago. All the debate that I heard at the Water Summit, I heard the same debate when I traveled the state in 1990, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. And I think the frustration, and I understand resistance to change, and I understand talking points. You could tell at the summit, whichever groups were coming, there were groups that were prepared, and they did their talking points and talked past each other for a while. But then actually, after they got past the talking points and they're kind of having to talk with each other, you could have a conversation. I don't think that just having a conversation is an outcome. I think it's a means to trying to get a change. And if our water, if nitrates in water turn the water orange, like the pollution in Flint, Michigan, we would be having more than just one summit. We would be having a lot more interest coming up. But we can't see the pollution. And so when I meet with my peers around the country, they're stunned at the money that we are investing in voluntary conservation practices. Iowa's talking about possibly putting money on a checkoff on their corn and soybean checkoff to raise $75 million for voluntary practices. That's about what we're spending on conservation practices through legacy amendment, if you count both outdoor heritage and water. Water legacy, we're spending about $110 million a year, outdoor heritage about $110 million a year, but when you look at the actual practices and you add them together, we're at about $75 million a year. So Iowa, which is a big agriculture state, is talking about doing what we are doing, have been doing, and will be doing. Now, the question comes down, who pays? Who's going to pay for these things? Because now we're seeing small towns throughout Minnesota, all over Minnesota, where the property taxpayers or the water fee payers in the small towns are having to pay for nitrate removal systems. And guess what? It is not their lawn fertilizer that's causing that. And so and the governor has in his proposal, in addition to wastewater, starting to deal with nitrate removal from drinking water. So when we break that seal, and the general taxpayer, all of us have to pay for those costs, and we're talking millions right now. Bonding, we could eat it all up with water if we wanted. We could put it all in the Public Facilities Authority. So these costs are starting to come up. And we get to this point where people are angry, they're frustrated, they're concerned about their future, they're concerned about the future of their communities. And I think what the governor was trying to do was to pull people together in that meeting. I think what he's going to try to do is continue that conversation. That in itself will not be enough. We are going to have some responsibility where people take responsibility or they take care of the cost, the external cost of their production. And that means wherever they are, whether they're in an urban area, whether in a suburban area, or whether in a rural area. So my taxpayers are paying for their septic. They've paid for their sewer upgrades. They're paying for those things already. They don't have best management practices. They don't have cost share to reduce their costs. And so I know, I grew up on a farm. My brother farms in Freeborn County. I don't know if he's watching right now, but I hear, well, if we could just get the city people to come out and see how we farm and know what's happening. I would ask as well for the farmers to come into the cities or to the small cities where they do business and have the conversation with those small town mayors and small town city council waterworks folks. Because we have an issue where we can't continue the status quo. And it is going to be very hard to have this discussion because the costs are going to be dramatic. I'm willing, I think one way we can do things, and they mentioned a watershed. Remember Arnie Carlson said we were going to clean up the Minnesota River and be fishable and swimmable by 1996, I think. And we've spent over $1 billion of public money in the Minnesota River watershed. There have been Minnesota River boards, there have been commissions, there have been studies, there's task forces, all these things over the years. I am comfortable if we said in the Minnesota River Valley that in order to get more legacy money, they have to form watershed districts within the Minnesota River Valley so that there's local control to raise money that can be leveraged against legacy money to make that money go farther. Because if the costs aren't borne somewhat by everyone, including those folks who cause pollution, then those external costs are going to be borne by somebody else. And understanding the actual costs that our state is facing on water, and water is an economic development issue beyond just agriculture. We need water. The Coca-Cola plant in Eagan needs a good well with good water to make Coca-Cola. We need water in almost everything we do for our tourism, for our other industries. So I think everybody is going to have to be looking at what are their costs and what are their outcomes that we can achieve. We can spend the public dollar, but we want to spend the public dollar well where it has an outcome that actually cleans up our water.
Senator, your thoughts on this?
Well, I don't want to add too much more than that, other than maybe anecdotally. When we do look at some of these issues, and I go back to my first term in the Minnesota State Senate in the early 2000s, and we had a proposal at that time. They were trying to ban phosphorus, an automatic dishwashing detergent. And I and another senator who were on the Environment Committee at the time opposed that vehemently. We said this is not a good idea because a couple of reasons. One, it's not a major problem, and two, your alternative actually could be a bigger problem. The only alternative to phosphorus at that time, I don't know about now, was sodium citrate, which is an endocrine disruptor, which actually was banned in some European countries. And ultimately that got turned into a study, and the study came back and said, yeah, more phosphorus falls out of the air into our water than comes from any of this stuff. And then the issue just went away. But we spent a lot of time and effort working on that proposal that certain groups thought was going to be a major solution that ultimately could have been very counterproductive. So we do need to be careful in balancing our approaches and doing it smartly and not just reactively. And then balancing also, in some cases, needs and rights of other groups. Farmers very strongly opposed the buffer proposal that we had because it essentially was going to steal chunks of their land, take it out of their income stream. And so you have to balance all of these things in how you do this, and it does get complicated.
Your thoughts?
I had the opportunity to be on the Vermilion River watershed. I actually was a Scott County Commissioner for 6 years, from 2002 to 2008. Learned a lot about water and about impervious surface and buffers and vegetation and so forth. And I came away from that experience knowing that, yes, it is a huge issue. It's an expensive issue, but it is a shared issue. And Yes, it is agriculture, but yes, it is urban as well. It is rooftops and industrial parks. It really has to be a comprehensive approach to looking at it and then deciding who pays, because Vermilion River is, as some people know, a cold water trout stream. In places they wanted 200-foot buffers. Well, if you happen to be the unfortunate farmer that had their land backing up to the Vermilion River, all of a sudden you're giving away 200 feet of your land, and the person that's across the road from you isn't giving up any. Yet it's all flowing down that way. So there's so many economic issues that have to be faced, so it has to be done on a global standpoint. But don't disagree that it's a huge issue that needs to be faced.
I think Dakota County, where we have experience, they've adopted buffers. The county took the leadership before the governor and the legislature passed the law last year. So it shows, and I think there were 6 counties that had taken that leadership. And that local leadership incenting that with responsibility to actually see change, to measure that change, so that we can make sure that the public dollar and the private dollar is well spent. You have, our challenge is that not every soil and water district or watershed district is the same. I mean, you may have differences in local leadership or ability, and that's why trying to make sure that you work the best so that you can get those changes that have the outcome. That's what we need in Minnesota. That's what I think the public is expecting of us.